that if a young man and woman, leaping over the midsummer fire together, escape unsmirched, the young woman will not become a mother within 12 months. The flames have not touched and fertilized her. In parts of Switzerland and France, the lighting of the Yule log is accompanied by a prayer that the women may bear children, that she goats bring forth kids, and the ewes drop lambs. The rule observed in some places that the bonfires should be kindled by the person who was last married seems to belong to the same class of ideas, whether it be that such a person is supposed to receive from, or to impart to, the fire a generative and fertilizing influence. The common practice of lovers leaping over the fires hand in hand may very well have originated in a notion that thereby their marriage would be blessed with offspring, and the like motive would explain the custom which obliges couples married within the year to dance to the light of torches, and the scenes of profligacy which appear to have marked the midsummer celebration among the Estonians, as they once marked the celebration of May Day among ourselves, may have sprung, not from the mere license of holiday makers, but from a crude notion that such orgies were justified, if not required, by some mysterious bond which linked the life of man to the courses of the heavens at the turning point of the year. At the festivals which we are considering, the custom of kindling bonfires is commonly associated with the custom of carrying lighted torches about the fields, the orchards, the pastures, the flocks and the herds, and we can hardly doubt that the two customs are only two different ways of attaining the same object, namely, the benefits which are believed to flow from the fire, whether it be stationary or portable. Accordingly, if we accept the solar theory of the bonfires, we seem bound to apply it also to the torches. We must suppose that the practice of marching or running with blazing torches about the country is simply a means of diffusing far and wide the genial influence of the sunshine, of which these flickering flames are a feeble imitation. In favour of this view, it may be said that sometimes the torches are carried about the fields for the express purpose of fertilizing them, and with the same intention live coals from the bonfires are sometimes placed in the field to prevent blight. On the eve of Twelfth Day, in Normandy, men, women, and children run wildly through the fields and orchards with lighted torches, which they wave about the branches and dash against the trunks of the fruit trees, for the sake of burning the moss and driving away the moles and field mice. Quote, "They believe that the ceremony fulfills the double object of exorcising the vermin whose multiplication would be a real calamity, and of imparting fecundity to the trees, the fields, and even the cattle." Close quote. And they imagine that the more the ceremony is prolonged, the greater will be the crop of fruit next autumn. In Bohemia, they say that the corn will grow as high as they fling the blazing besoms into the air. Nor are such notions confined to Europe. In Korea, a few days before the New Year festival, the eunuchs of the palace swing burning torches, chanting invocations the while, and this is supposed to ensure bountiful crops for the next season. The custom of trundling a burning wheel over the fields, which used to be observed in Poitou for the express purpose of fertilizing them, may be thought to embody the same idea in a still more graphic form, since in this way the mock sun itself, not merely its light and heat represented by torches, is made actually to pass over the ground which is to receive its quickening and kindly influence. Once more, the custom of carrying lighted brands round cattle is plainly equivalent to driving the animals through the bonfire, and if the bonfire is a sun charm, the torches must be so also. Section 3. The purificatory theory of the fire festivals. Thus far we have considered what may be said for the theory that at the European fire festivals the fire is kindled as a charm to ensure an abundant supply of sunshine for man and beast, for corn and fruits. It remains to consider what may be said against this theory and in favour of the view that in these rites fire is employed not as a creative but as a cleansing agent, which purifies men, animals, and plants by burning up and consuming the noxious elements, whether material or spiritual, which menace all living things with disease and death. First, then, it is to be observed that the people who practice the fire customs appear never to allege the solar theory in explanation of them, while on the contrary they do frequently and emphatically put forward the purificatory theory. This is a strong argument in favour of the purificatory and against the solar theory, for the popular explanation of a popular custom is never to be rejected except for grave cause. And in the present case there seems to be no adequate reason for rejecting it. The conception of fire as a destructive agent, which can be turned to account for the consumption of evil things, is so simple and obvious that it could hardly escape the minds even of the rude peasantry with whom these festivals originated. On the other hand, the conception of fire as an emanation of the sun, or at all events as linked to it by a bond of physical sympathy, is far less simple and obvious. And though the use of fire as a charm to produce sunshine appears to be undeniable, nevertheless, in attempting to explain popular customs, we should never have recourse to a more recondite idea when a simpler one lies to hand and is supported by the explicit testimony of the people themselves. Now, in the case of the fire festivals, the destructive aspect of fire is one upon which the people dwell again and again, and it is highly significant that the great evil against which the fire is directed appears to be witchcraft. Again and again we are told that the fires are intended to burn or repel the witches, and the intention is sometimes graphically expressed by burning an effigy of a witch in the fire. Hence, when we remember the great hold which the dread of witchcraft has had on the popular European mind in all ages, we may suspect that the primary intention of all these fire festivals was simply to destroy, or at all events get rid of the witches, who were regarded as the causes of nearly all the misfortunes and calamities that befall men, their cattle, and their crops. This suspicion is confirmed when we examine the evils for which the bonfires and torches were supposed to provide a remedy. Foremost, perhaps, among these evils we may reckon the diseases of cattle, and of all the ills that witches are believed to work, there is probably none which is so constantly insisted on as the harm they do to the herds, particularly the stealing the milk from the cows. Now it is significant that the need fire, which may perhaps be regarded as the parent of the periodic fire festivals, is kindled above all as a remedy for a murrain or other disease of cattle, and the circumstance suggests, what on general grounds seems probable, that the custom of kindling the need fire goes back to a time when the ancestors of the European peoples subsisted chiefly on the products of the herds, and when agriculture as yet played a subordinate part in their lives. Witches and wolves are the two great foes still dreaded by the herdsmen in many parts of Europe, and we need not wonder that he should resort to fire as a powerful means of banning them both. Among Slavonic peoples it appears that the foes whom the need fire is designed to combat are not so much living witches as vampires and other evil spirits, and the ceremony aims rather at repelling these baleful beings than at actually consuming them in the flames. But for our present purpose the distinctions are immaterial. The important thing to observe is that among the Slavs the need fire, which is probably the original of all the ceremonial fires now under consideration, is not a sun charm, but clearly and unmistakably nothing but a means of protecting man and beast against the attacks of maleficent creatures, whom the peasant thinks to burn or scare by the heat of the fire, just as he might burn or scare wild animals. Again, the bonfires are often supposed to protect the fields against hail and the homestead against thunder and lightning. Both hail and thunderstorm are frequently thought to be caused by witches. Hence, the fire which bans the witches necessarily serves at the same time as a talisman against hail, thunder, and lightning. Further, brands taken